Hey guys, what we're going to talk about today is the LG inverter direct drive washing machine. This is a machine that we got maybe back in 2017, 2018, right around there. I don't really remember which. We recently purchased a new washing machine and we got the Speed Queen, and I'll show you that here in a second. So this particular machine is supposed to be a smart washer. It's supposed to be able to sort of choose the water level. It senses the load and does all this other stuff. And it also does not have an agitator. So as you can see, there is no agitator here. The measurement from here to here going across is about 18 inches. And then underneath this lip here, which would be about the maximum that you could ever fill, I guess, is about 18 inches. Right here is where you would put the detergent, and then here is where you would put any water softeners as well. Over here on the corner where you can see is where you would put bleach. When we originally bought this, again back in 2017, 2018-ish, we were told, oh, this thing is going to be able to sense the water, it's going to be able to do a whole bunch of stuff that you don't have to worry about, and it's going to be way more efficient. The reality is with this thing is, even though it has large capacity, the nature of it, at least in our use of it and what we found out, was that you had to do sort of smaller loads. Yeah, you can fit a ton of stuff in here, but the couple of times that we tried that, because the machine tries to use so little water, a lot of times we found that the agitation wasn't good, and then also sometimes if you put a whole lot of laundry in there, and this would be within the capacity range that the washer would have. Had a brief interruption there, but what I was talking about was that some of the larger loads, if you had a bunch of clothes or especially sheets, sometimes with this thing you would actually have sections of the sheet or parts of clothing that weren't wet at all. So yeah, they kind of got agitated, but because this is trying to use as little as water as possible, the clothes weren't getting saturated, and they did get clean, but they didn't get as clean as we wanted if you were doing the larger loads. If you would do smaller loads, we didn't seem to have that problem. But that kind of defeats the purpose of having the higher capacity if this machine can't do it. There's also really no way for you to control how much water you want to put in. There's no really overrides on this thing, which we didn't like as much. So this is what we bought to replace the LC. And this is a Speed Queen, it's the TC5. It does have some electronic components, but most everything you do is sort of controlled by the knobs. This is, I would have liked it to be probably a regular button, but it's more of like a touch screen type thing. It does only have really, I guess we'd say maybe 2 settings for the amount of water that you're going to put in, which you have your normal, and then you can do a deep fill, which will add extra water. The one thing that I wish this did have that it doesn't would be an ability to do like a small, medium, or large load type thing, and that could control the amount of water. You don't always need, I think this puts in 14-gallon standard of water, which we have noticed our clothes come out cleaner, they come out smelling better. The agitator in here is it's a traditional agitator. We like it quite a bit. You can do things where you can do an extra rinse, you can do an extra rinse and pre-soak, heavy soil. You have your temperature controls, which are cold, cool, warm, and hot. Over here on your cycles, you have normal, eco. Basically all this does is I think it uses a little bit less water in the rinse cycles. You have permanent press, heavy duty, bulky in sheets, and then you could do just a spin. You also have delicate. With delicate, what this thing will do is it spins and then it stops. Things kind of soak for a while and then it starts up again. So earlier we were talking about capacity. So this is the top side view. Here's our agitator, and you've got your fabric softener here. You've got over here the standard little cup for your bleach. Measurement wise, when we looked at the LG, what we saw was basically tub to tub wall was about 18 inches, and then the height was also about 18 inches. On this one, you do come in a little bit shorter on the height. I don't know if you guys will be able to see, but if we go from the bottom of the tub to right underneath here, we're looking, approximately 15 inches. If we look at, however, the sort of the tub wall, we're, I'd say like 19 3/4 inches, and we could even go smaller. Let's say if my measurements were off, but just call it 19 and a half. So depth-wise, so depth-wise, we do lose about 3 inches. However, the width of the tub, we pick up a couple, and you do lose some capacity. I'm sure the agitator takes up some space, but because the Speed Queen uses a bunch of water, and because you get actually really good agitation, your clothes get soaked through, the fibers in there, all the clothes kind of meshes up, and if you watch a cycle, and you can see tons of cycles on YouTube of like the TC5 and other Speed Queens doing this, but you'll notice that the clothes kind of go down and circulate around and then up and down through the tub. So the clothes are washing are rubbing up against each other, and you get like really good agitation, which helps to get the clothes cleaner. A prime example of this is in the LG. We have, my daughter uses these makeup wipe removers that look like little square cloths, and we would wash them in the LG and you would still have some staining. When we wash them in here, they come out clean. So kind of take that for what you will, but we definitely like this a lot better. The downsides to this are it is a lot louder. However, we're in the laundry room and I can just close the door and you don't really hear it. It's not that big a deal. But if you wanted a machine that's going to be super, super quiet, this may not be it for you. So I have got a couple of blankets that I wanted to go ahead and wash. Normally, I like to have it on extra rinse for my options, and generally we'll wash in cool or warm. And then your setting here, since we're going and doing the blankets, I'm going to use the bulky and sheet setting. You just hold that, touch it, actually just touch it, and then it will start to fill. And let me get you guys down here where you can see it going in. But you can see you get a good strong flow of water. And then I'm just going to dump in our detergent. And if I wanted to, I could put more in. This is just all I have to wash right now. But we have a king-size bed, and it washes the sheets, the full set with the pillowcases, the fitted sheet, and the top sheet, no problem. I also did the hack where you can open and close the lid and it doesn't shut itself off. There's a little lever that's on the back, and you can put like a clothespin, and it just stops the lever from moving up and down, which stops the flow. And that will also stop any cycle if you haven't done that. And you can go on YouTube and just do Speed Queen like lid hack or something like that. And there's tons of videos out there that show people doing it. I would show you what I did on the back of ours, but it's already installed and everything, and so there's no way for me to get back there to show you on camera what it looks like. I'd have to pull this whole thing out, and I'm not going to do that. So here you can see the agitation. It's got plenty of water in there, which is going to allow the soap to get into the fibers of the material. And I'm not going to film like the whole cycle, but it's far superior to the LG in our opinion. We just think things get much cleaner. Again, the only maybe downside is I wish I could actually control the amount of water, but it really hasn't been that big of a problem. Because let's say you just wanted to wash a couple of small items, you're going to use a bunch of water, so that is kind of the only downside. So we're seeing it filling up, and it's getting ready to do the rinse cycle. And we're doing our final spin cycle here. The water's going to drain out. It actually will spin the clothes so well, or the blankets or whatever you got in there, your laundry, that it gets a lot of the water out. So they come out pretty good because of the spin. Alright, so our blankets are done. And one thing I forgot to mention too is the time period that this takes is actually quite a bit quicker, and I think for better results than we got with the LG. So we'll pull them out. They're damp, but they are not wet. You could squeeze them and try and wring them. You're not going to get any water to come out. Occasionally with the LG, we would have situations where on bigger loads, sometimes, I don't know if it didn't allow it to drain properly, but sometimes you would have things that would come out and they would be pretty wet still. So we look and we see the 5 questions that I've written down here on the whiteboard. And this is something that helps me whenever I want to kind of review something or look at something long term. And I find that for me, that these questions tend to remove any bias that I might have, either good or bad, toward a product. So if we're looking at the 2 washing machines that we talked about today, we have the LG and we have the Speed Queen. And if we ask, well, what was this thing designed to do? And if we look at the Speed Queen, we would say, well, it's designed to wash your clothes quickly, it's designed to get them clean, and it's also designed to last a long time. It's supposed to have better quality components so that you'll get a long term of usage of your product before you'd have to replace it. When we go and ask that same question with the LG, again, it's supposed to get your clothes clean, but it's supposed to get your clothes cleaner with less wear on the clothes because it doesn't have the agitation, or as much agitation, I guess I should say. It's supposed to use less water, be more efficient. And at this question, that's all we're asking is, what is this thing designed to do? Then our next question is, how well does it do it? So how well does it do the things that it was designed to do? When we look at the LG, and again, we're not going to talk about cons, that's our next one, or flaws. When we look at the LG, we said, it does okay. It gets them clean, but not as clean as I would like. And when we ask, how well does it do it for the Speed Queen, in our experience so far, it does it very well. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. Then you could say, well, what are the things where it falls short? So with the LG, all those things we talked about before, sometimes the clothes or the sheets, or if we were doing a lot, wouldn't come out as clean, or sometimes they would even have dry spots in the clothes, and so you're like, well, I know no water or detergent even got to these spots. Also, it was designed with the LG, it was designed that you would have a large capacity tub. And so yeah, you could put that big comforter in there, but again, going back to the flaw, sometimes it wouldn't drain properly, sometimes there would be dry spots on the big comforters, things like that. So let's talk about the Speed Queen. What are some of the flaws or cons of it? I guess maybe the flaws, or it would be, you could say maybe the capacity, and perhaps that it is a little bit loud. Other than that, it seems to do everything that it's supposed to do. Some people, not me, would say it uses too much water. But again, for me, it's not that big a deal. So what would I like to see the manufacturer change or improve? So let's talk about the Speed Queen first. I would like to be able to control maybe the level of water so that I could do a small, medium, or large, or extra large load. I would like to see them maybe put some insulation, more insulation inside the actual cabinet that houses that. Other than that, so it's a little bit quieter. Other than that, not too much. With the LG, I would have to say it's got to do, there's a whole host of things that I would like to see come from the manufacturer. You need to be able to kind of control things to go in a little bit more, because it sort of just has set things, because it's using a sensor to try and figure out how much water and what the load is and all that other type of stuff. It doesn't quite work. Did I do any, and the last question is, did I do any modifications? And this is also kind of a two-part. And if I did it change anything? Did it make anything better? Did it make it worse? The only modification I did to the Speed Queen was I put the clothespin on the back of the lever so that when you raise up the lid, it doesn't shut everything off. And it's an easy modification to take on and off. For me, it makes it a little bit better because I can, when I put the detergent in, I can rinse out the cup and all that type of stuff. With the LG, there really wasn't any modifications that I could do. So anyway, that's it for kind of the review. If you're thinking about maybe getting one of the new smart washers, for me, I think that sticking with sort of the old school stuff with the agitator, I think it's better. I guess overall, I would recommend the Speed Queen or something similar to it. Maybe that's another downside or a con, but not necessarily a flaw in the Speed Queen, is they are expensive. Now, an interesting thing in our deal, one of our credit cards that we use all the time has a deal where you can get points, and after a certain amount of time you can exchange those points and they'll put that as a credit on your card. So for us, we had enough points saved up that we cashed out some of our points, and it covered the cost of the Speed Queen for us. So our Speed Queen basically cost us nothing. It's pretty much just like a perk of the card. Now again, this is stuff that we use the card anyway, and since we're getting points on it anyway, it has helped pay for some things over the years. All right, so that is it. If you got any questions, leave them down in the comments below, and I'll try and get back with you and answer them as quick as I can. Talk to you guys next time.